Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland is out today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to welcome back to the program Marc Maron of the WTF pod. And of course, you have a new special out too.
Yeah, new special, Panicked on HBO. It's kind of, it's the best one, I think.
You seem really happy to be here, Marc.
I'm thrilled, Sam. I'm always thrilled to wonder what I'm going to have to take. What am I going to have to put up with now?
You know,
I was just going
to the texting. I was explaining to Brian, who's new on the show. It's like I can. It's just so obvious that Marc is really. This is the level of reluctance that is just coming across. You can't see it in the text per se, but the subtext of the texts. That brought this about.
I go back and, there's always sort of the question of like, this is going to start off nice. And then I'm probably going to take a couple of hits, but I don't mind that. And then, and then you're going to feel better about yourself. And I'm going to say, why did I do that?
Right. I mean, that's and that's why I was actually contemplating coming in very quick with the attacks. And then trying to finish in a more friendly fashion. You've been all over the place these days. You've done so much media. First off, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
Well, I mean, you're wrapping up WTF, and you've been on a huge media junket. I've seen you everywhere.
It's crazy because everything was happening at once. Brendan and I announced that we were stopping it with enough time for everybody to adjust and for there to be some sort of kind of a attention for it. Because when you choose to stop something and decide that this is no longer a desperate need to provide content, and that the way we did it sort of is a body of work. So when you stop it and you have this legacy of this body of work, and it did have whatever impact it had culturally, it gets attention. And along with that, then I had, the Stick thing with Owen Wilson, and then the Bad Guys movie, and the doc, and then the special. So it's been fucking nuts.
Yeah, I haven't seen the doc. Am I in it? I was interviewed. I did.
Yeah, you are in it. Yeah, it got a distribution deal, and I think it should be in some theaters in October. I guess we're hoping.
And you financed this documentary?
No, I didn't have anything to do with it.
I'm joking.
No, I mean, it was interesting though, with Steven Fine Arts, and in terms of, like who I am and what I do, like, people always wonder about, how much control do you have over a doc? And I told him to do whatever he's going to do. I mean, how much am I really hiding? So it's not like, I don't look great in some of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that comes across just when you. That comes across just when. I mean, even in this interview, I think there's a lot of things that people are probably already saying.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is that I find that the funny thing about the doc is Steven Fine Arts, who directed this new special and my last one, and he directed the doc, and I find him annoying, and so he was following me around for 3 years. So the tone of the doc, a lot of it, unfortunately, is me going like, when is this going to end? How long do we? So I seem more cranky than I really am.
Really?
I think so.
I mean, do you not you don't feel like that crankiness is just there? You think it was a function of the documentarian being there? I mean, maybe it's like one of those things. Like, what is it? Is it what is it? I can never remember what that principle is. Like something observed doesn't. What is it? The high somebody.
I don't know. Tell me. Don't you have a producer who's sitting there?
Yeah, he's
trying to figure out how to look that up.
He's playing Tetris on his phone.
Oh,
that's
record score.
But okay, so. But you know me, and I think what's happened is, if I am cranky, that was the hardest thing about the doc is watching me at home and living my life from an outside point of view. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's, a little peculiar. And then they also had clips of me doing comedy in the 80s, and that was the cringiest part. All the emotional stuff I had no problem with, but seeing me at Stitches in 1988, I gave him a bunch of stuff I have in boxes, and that was the hardest thing to watch. But yeah, I get that I'm cranky, but I don't think I'm angry cranky like I used to be. I think that like there's it's a little softer.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, the show, my observation of you over the course of the past, like whatever it's been, 15, 16 years since we worked together at
we had the very successful Break Room Live that a lot of people remember. Sure, you can still get those clips on YouTube. Yeah,
I think I I actually still have control of that account, but nevertheless,
good. Get it out there. This is the time.
No, believe me. Believe me. This is the time to cash in on that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of recipes.
We were ahead of the curve doing streaming before people could stream. I don't think people really give us credit for that. We were doing the streaming thing before anyone even knew how to do it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you were doing it even 10 years before that with that what was it, that
the Microsoft
what was that called?
What was that called?
This is I can't remember now. But
it only streamed within the Microsoft campus, I think.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it was all, and it was literally. I think it was literally mostly dial-up streaming. And so
I think so. Yeah, because all the
like
animation
4 frames a minute.
Yeah, it was all clunky. It was produced by Broadway Video, Jim Biederman.
Yep.
And Nick McKenney was the head writer, and we interviewed a lot of people that were available through SNL. I don't even think it exists anywhere.
No, I don't even know if there's tapes. I did a couple of stringer things for you, I think, but it was literally, I think it was in the next room. But nevertheless, my observation is that over the course of the past 16 years, and you've had a tremendous amount of success, first with the show, and then with your acting and with your new glasses and all of it. And you also, I mean, you suffered some tragedy with your girlfriend passing, and but it definitely sort of took some of the rough edges off. I think some of the resent that you carried around about your career and other people's success, which I think is well documented, faded. The real question is, well, yeah, definitely, and that's what my next question is: how quickly do you think you're going to revert after the show is canceled? Like the last show is going to be in September. Do you think this is going to be something like you're going to make it to Thanksgiving, or will it take longer for you to revert back to that?
I don't know, because I'm very aware of it, of my own insecurities and jealousies, and I have been able to frame it in a different way than I used to. Like at some point, I had the realization that like I'm jealous of people that are doing something I don't even want to do.
Right.
And I, on top of that, I couldn't do it. So I've become more comfortable with my place in the world. And I think some of the resentment, it's not, I think most of what I could have been, it could have been resentment at a different time. I think most of the stuff that I'm angry about in terms of the community that I exist in and work in is fairly justified. So I've become better at separating, my own personal issues, that come from, insecurity or whatever, and just principle. So that's gotten a little better. And certainly the world of comedy right now, there is a way.
I want to get to that, some of that stuff.
Yeah, to discuss that in I think an honest way that isn't based in pettiness. But I am concerned about the amount of time I'm going to have. And sadly, the resentment, because it can't fuel me like it used to, because I'm on to myself, I'm more concerned about just general sadness and anxiety. That seems to be the bigger fears, that I have this space. I'm not going to run around hating on people or starting shit, but the weight of the world will kind of will get me into a place of despair that I don't have an outlet for. So I have to find out a way to get personal support and also figure out what to do with my work from this point on, you know?
I mean, this is, there's a couple of things I think that you have an option. I would say a therapist, like just
Yeah, I got it.
with you. No, I'm saying like maybe 15
No, he's
hours a
here.
day,
He's at the house. Yeah,
15
he's here.
hours a day.
He's staying in the guest room.
I think like your Twitter feed could end up being very problematic for you at one
I
point.
don't do any of it.
Not now you don't. But I'm talking about after the show is done. Oh yeah.
No. Here's what'll happen. You know, Twitter is out. You know, I promote the show. You know, I post the show up, and that's it. And I don't engage with it anymore because the algorithm is as such where it's like, what? I don't even read that many. I don't read
maybe
comments
it's Instagram
anymore.
Or something, whatever it's gonna be.
I'll get on Instagram Live probably, and
yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Fear. It might be. My big fear is like I've had Brendan McDonald, you know, kind of, you know, watching my back for 20 years. And he's the guy, like, you know, I put stuff in the opening monologues of the podcast where I know, like, Brendan's not going to put this in there. So, like, he's actually protected me from myself for a long time. But even in this round of press, I do have an inner Brendan. So even during this round of press, I was fairly calculating about, you know, whatever beefs I had and whether they were justified or not. So, like, I do have a propensity to sort of impulsively say things, but I do have a little don't hit send thing in my head about what comes out of my mouth.
I know that you have that now. I'm just saying that when the show is done, like, you know, because listen, there's a lot of like comedians out there who you see at the clubs who, you know, are going to be careful not to, over the past couple of years, 10 years plus, I can't get on the wrong side of Maron because I want to go do his show. Oh. And then now they're just going to be like, fuck that guy.
Well, that's been my whole life. I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, like, there's, you know, the fuck that guy contingent has always been out there. But I don't know that I think the people that didn't get, I think most people have gotten on the show. I mean, if they're younger and it was sort of their aspiration, you know, what can I tell you? We're ending it. But I mean, who hasn't done the show that really wanted to do the show that, you know, I could jive with? There's not many.
Was there, have you been asked a bunch? I haven't seen all the stuff that you've done, although, you know, people have been sending me stuff. Like I know you were on Smartless. Somebody sent me a clip of that and my name came up. You didn't seem very happy about that actually in that moment. It came up. Yeah. You seemed upset.
I don't know if I was upset. I think like I think it's middle of, I think it's endearing upset. Like when your name comes up, I'm like, yeah. Well, Sam. So it's that tone.
Right. I mean, it was.
It's not fuck that guy.
And it was also there. No, it was not fuck that. It was more like, hey, I only got an hour. I'm not gonna wait. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure that if you
we just spent 4 seconds. We just spent 4 seconds on that. That's enough. I only have an hour to talk. That's it.
But didn't we plug your show or something? I mean,
no. I mean, you moved on very quickly. I think it seemed uncomfortable actually because, you know,
like, them. They were
you know, Will, I used to be pretty good friends with, and Bateman would come on the show with Janine. And I think your tone, I mean, you know, you can't see anybody because it's just audio, but the tone, I think, was like, oh, okay, this is a sensitive subject, and people moved on. But that's not the point.
What's the point?
I don't know what the point was, but so let's talk about
in terms of me getting in trouble. You seem to be kind of like, I feel that the kind of structure of this interview is kind of exploring and half hoping for my meltdown publicly.
Yeah.
After WTF.
Yeah. I mean, that's the, I mean, to the extent that there's a structure, I wouldn't call it a structure. It's more like the agenda. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I didn't structure it.
Yeah. But you're just sort of like, go ahead.
But all right, let's talk. But so we've gotten there. It's clear you're not going to, although you're going for the nicotine gum. So that's good. Is that what it is? Is that gum or is that's the big thing now, everybody, right? It's just straight nicotine.
Yeah. I mean, it's as straight as like the gum or anything else, but it's got flavor and it sits in your mouth, and I'm sure we'll find out just how bad they are for everybody in about 5 years.
Right.
But I'm always on nicotine of some kind. I kind of like these. I feel bad because everyone else does, but the gum's okay. It's nicotine.
So, all right.
What about you? You smoking?
No. I mean, I have when I go to my one vice in Las Vegas.
What?
Well, I go on a tour conference, and occasionally I'll,
have a cigarette in the casino.
Yeah,
because you smoke indoors.
Exactly.
Fun, right?
One time.
Yeah.
But so the thing that I've noticed that we played a clip of you talking about if Theo Von had an opportunity to interview Hitler. That was very funny.
Thank you.
And we have a clip, I don't think we'll play it right now, of you on the Howie Mandel show, talking, which has been traveled a little bit, about talking about the sort of anti-woke contingency comedy.
Yeah.
And I want to get into that, but it's what I find fascinating. And it was really, I feel like Howie Mandel was not prepared for that conversation.
Well, he's like a classic late boomer who, they lock into just the surface ideas, which is shallow, and they don't have any conversation deeper than that. And it's not uncommon. He's not living in the world of discourse or even politics. He's a rich guy that's sort of like, I just want to stay busy. And then, they all get this kind of like, well, people should be able to say whatever. It's like that. It's not even about that anymore.
Was it ever, though? I mean, it's not like you're going to get taken off. This is not like Lenny Bruce getting arrested. It's just about audiences saying, hey, man, I don't like what you're doing.
Well, it's about it's just straight up about representation in marginalized communities, vulnerable people. And it's like we don't have to break it all down, but and I know it was never just about the words, but ultimately these guys were marks for the right-wing propaganda machine and absorbed by their agenda and spearheaded, what was in their eyes, I talk about in the special, this ability to say words they wanted to say, but they used anti-woke to dismantle all progressive policy for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's partially on them, and I can't separate it. Whether they were willing collaborators or just grifting for themselves. I mean, it's like fuck them.
It was interesting when he said that he doesn't think comedians have that kind of power. Literally the day before stories come out about the White House wanting to ask Joe Rogan to please stop talking about Epstein, and let's talk about, because the thing that I find fascinating about this era, aside from the sort of the right-wing influence with these comedians, is when we were on Air America, when we first joined in 2004, there was a complete, not total, but a pretty complete lack of comedians being political. Like literally all of the people who were political in comedy probably worked at Air America, as a writer. Crimmins was there at that time, and it's completely different now. I mean, it changed over the course of, I don't know if it was from social media or the nature of the world, but I just remember in 2004, 2005, the intense pressure from Janine's management, my management at that time was like, what are you doing now? Are we done with this? Or, and other comedians going like, what are you doing?
I think that I really think that political comedy in general was always a niche thing. And the guys that did it, I mean, historically, there's only a handful at any one time. And most of the politics, going on, most of the political comics of that time who were strictly political, who do that, I mean, just to say political comic, it's kind of boring. And I don't know that I was ever a political comic, but it has been my responsibility to myself to address it for at least a portion of the show, to show where I stand and offer my perspective on that, whether you agree with it or not, or whether it's well informed or not. But I never considered myself a political comic. And in the last 3 specials, they're almost structured like that there's going to be this section where I'm going to deal with that. And then we do the other stuff, personal, dark stuff that's a little lighter. But political comedy, I mean, even back in the 80s, dude, I mean, remember it was like Will Durst
Right.
Jimmy Tingle,
Yeah.
Barry Crimmins, and that was it.
But I'm not
And then
talking about political comedians. I'm talking about comedians actually even engaging in politics.
Yeah, but
Like
people don't like it. It requires an engagement with the narrative, and then once you sort of parse that, how do you make that funny? Comedians in general, I'm not saying all of them, but they're and most people now, they don't have a big picture. They have a reactive engagement with bits and pieces of shit that pop their endorphins, and then they repeat clickbait, and yet the depth of it is not understood. And now you have comics. The other shift too with the right-wing political comics is that there's a blurring of the line of comic and commentator or influencer. All of a sudden, within the last 10 years, you have comedians who are like, talking about China relations. And it's like, okay, I guess that's part of the job. I don't know when that happened, but
I mean,
what?
I mean, Air America was
Oh yeah,
certainly
so we
part of
did
it.
it. Another thing, it's our fault. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily something wrong with it. Obviously, that's what I do. I don't know that I'm a comedian. I feel like
You're
I'm
not.
more of like a political commentator who's mildly amusing.
You're very funny.
But I think, what interests me more is that we started in a time where showbiz people, including comedians, were almost actively disinterested. And over the course of that time, it's very different.
Yeah, but it was always a divisive thing. I mean, the idea was that, if you're going to be an entertainer, why alienate this group of people? I mean, it was always calculated. It wasn't, it's not some mystery. And also to speak in depth about politics, I'm usually over my head, and it's taken me a long time to just be broad enough from however much I'm informed to make statements that I think are based in my beliefs. I mean, when I was on Air America, or even on our show, I was out of my depth in a lot of ways, just with keeping on top of the narrative and being able to sort of critically understand it. So I don't claim to do that, but I think a lot of people now, because of the advent of never-ending bullshit information, they claim that they can do that. And the right wing has opened up the sort of expanded the minds of fairly shallow people into believing that they can debate, that they have a point of view, and that it's based in this very slippery slope of evolving bullshit that gets them worked up. So in terms of the left, I don't know. I think in the special, I did a pretty good job of trying to sort of balance and take a few shots at myself and vis-a-vis the people in the audience who are mostly, leftists or, lefty people. And I think it sort of worked. But I don't know. We're not known to be hilarious,
Wait, what? What do you mean?
You
and
think
I,
of
or
no. I'm just saying that when you have like the idea of like a political comic, when we were doing Air America, without naming names, there were like 2 or 3 people that were doing, lefty political comedy. And it is so niche and almost impossible to make entertaining or to make mainstream. The only thing I can say about what I've been doing over the last decade or two in terms of the comedy is that I know that this special has a point of view politically, does not provide, I'm not being self-righteous or trying to answer questions, but I do know that it is a mainstream special, that I believe there's something in there for everybody. And whether that'll deliver the message to people that won't hear it, that's not the issue.
Yeah, I'm not talking about political comedians as a different species. I'm talking more about comedians being politics. Yeah,
yeah. And now they totally are. But now we got a problem. I mean, until people realize and adjust to the fact that we're living in an authoritarian country, which I don't think a lot of people, again, big picture, don't frame it that way.
No.
But then it becomes there's a self-censorship that happens. And the thing I was saying right after he was elected is like, dude, it was, 75 million against 77.5 million. It's not like, you have to censor yourself. You're going to be talking to a room that at worst is going to be 50-50. So why are you going to lose your balls now?
You mean in terms of like people who are arguing against? Well, I mean,
that's right.
We're living in an authoritarian era, and I think that casts a pall on a lot of people in ways that they're probably not even necessarily conscious about. I mean,
well, they're conscious of fear.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The self-censoring.
They shut up. It is self-censoring, and it's hard to get over. But if you're playing in like, well, I have an audience now, fine. But if I'm at the Comedy Store, and again, I'm not, running around doing clubs. I am sometimes, but now after a certain point, most people know who you are and what you do. But I think in a general way, especially in Los Angeles, to kind of keep working those muscles of pushing the envelope a little bit politically, you'll sort of see it. In the opening of the special, it's very clear that when I do the ironic take on how great America is now, most people know it is not.
Right.
Most rational people, and I'm talking about the other 150 million people that didn't vote. They know that it's scary and bad, and they're afraid to sort of, I think, acknowledge it to themselves. So when you release a little bit through laughter, I can hear that they're like, yeah, it's fucked up. Now, and I will continue to say that the people that think this is exactly how America should be going they're bad people. There's like, even if they're single issue Republican voters, it's like, well, look what you did.
Yep.
And so I think that's funny to most of the other people, but the power of the propaganda on all levels, just because it feeds itself now, is really breaking people's brains, and they're probably on some level kind of legitimately afraid. I mean, it's not getting any less scary in terms of being a public person, like I mean, it's a lot. And if you're going to talk about it, you are going to feel a target on you, whether it's from within or outside yourself. But they're both equally as detrimental.
Yeah, I know you do some touring, but can you, I imagine on some level now your audience is sort of self-selected. So it's a little bit tougher for you to sense, like, has there been a marked change in people's perspective on that question of whatever it is, authoritarianism, or what they're sensitive to, or have you noticed that over the years?
Well, I think what happened for me, and what kind of led me to the decision I made to, instead of be general about, my political insights or what's happening culturally, in a way where, the jokes are detached, that over, and just is sort of me saying them in a provocative way, over the course of touring after this Trump election, I realized that, I would be going to some red states, but I would be selling, 800 to 1,100 tickets. And the people that came were like me. They were scared. They're isolated, a lot of them. They're surrounded, by people that you no longer know what your neighbor thinks, or what's dangerous for you to say, just in a community level. Some of them, are just on their phones in despair with whoever they're living with. And the feeling of the crowds was that, holy shit, I'm providing a community service here. These people would not all get together in this area for any reason. Maybe some of them are motivated to go to a town hall or whatever, but they're all here and they're all like-minded. And that, this is, this is a safe space, because you're talking about people that are at work and they don't know if they can talk,
Right.
They don't know if they can talk, to the teachers at the school. So once I started to feel that, I realized that in this special, in the opening 15 minutes, that I am going to be part of that community and speak to them directly about their flaws and about where we're at, to relieve some fear and to have some self-reflection and get some laughs. So I was specifically talking to them because I thought that was important.
So how long do you think it's going to be until you start another podcast or restart WTF? after that?
Well, I would never restart WTF. I won't do anything like the WTF without Brendan involved, because, he's half of it for real. Our relationship as,
I mean, really
producer.
half? I mean, do you think like maybe 55%, I would say even?
Sure. I'll give him 70. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work without him. And, it seems to, what I've learned over the course of it is that a lot of people, for a while there, you're like, well, they're just here for the interviews, but a lot of people were there. It's really a show about me, mostly. And people are invested.
Is that true?
I know. Kinda. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So people have been kind of invested in how I talk and how I think and what's gone on in my life. So I think that there is that part of me that's about 20% of like, I kind of have a responsibility to those people, because, they're not unlike me. It's not easy getting through the day because of your brain and stuff. So if I do anything, I don't believe it would be an interview show, but if there was a way for me to show up maybe on, Instagram Live, or if I jumped into one of these existing podcast networks to do like a video thing, it would probably be, just me, but I'd have to sort of take the ego hit of starting from that point and figure out what that is. But I'm not in a hurry to do that. But I imagine I'll show up on Instagram Live.
The narrow group of people who listen to the upfront monologue.
Yeah, it's a lot though.
I mean,
yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm talking about
sure, but even that small amount of people probably dwarfs how many people listen to your show. I mean, on any given day.
My favorite part of when I came out to do your TV show, we did that episode on the podcast, the patent troll. When we were getting sued by the guy who supposedly patented podcast. My favorite part of doing your show was adding a line about skipping over your monologue in your podcast. I think it was.
It sort of became less and less in a weird way, because I used to get a lot of emails.
Is that what Brendan would tell you?
No, I used to get a lot of emails from people who were like, I used to skip it, but now it's like I kind of look forward to it. So I think that
I don't know if you can really measure that. I got to tell you,
dude, you could barely listen to me when I was sitting next to you when we were doing a show. You can barely listen to me now.
I'm not talking about me. I'm just saying that I know that when I directed Gary Busey, we would send him fake emails to essentially influence what he would do in the show. And
so you're saying Brendan has been running this fake email. He would not take the time to do that.
No, he wouldn't. But there were times where he would ask me, like, do you know anybody who's looking for a gig to just write?
Wouldn't require anything. You just have to make a Gmail account.
Just a couple of emails.
And I'll send him the copy. Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that there is part of me that is ready to stop, which is good.
That is good. But you've been acting so much.
Yeah, but I don't,
Do you feel like your acting skills have gotten better?
A bit. I think they have a bit. They would have to, or I don't know why I would do it, because I don't have to do it. And I generally, when I'm offered things, I don't want to do it, because I don't know if I have figured out how to fully find how acting is like satisfying creatively. And I'm trying to do that by taking chances and trying to deepen whatever craft I'm putting together for that gig. But there's still so much waiting around, and I don't like being away from home, and so much of that is required. And
how many times during a production are you in your dressing room or in your trailer, and do you like throw your script down and go, why the F am I doing this? What the F is going on here? This is so effing stupid.
Well, no, I don't get the stupid thing or why am I doing this for those reasons. What I get no matter what is, once you're in the trailer and then they're like, yeah, they're just doing the scene before you, so it shouldn't be that long. 3 hours later, I'm still in the trailer and I'm going, what could they be doing? I mean, we can shoot this on my fucking phone. It's not like this is stupid, but it's like, how is this taking so long? How many times do they got to do, so that's difficult.
But that seems healthy because you've externalized it. You're not turning on yourself. You're not saying, you're not saying like, I made a stupid decision to do this.
Well, that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's
that happens, but it's mostly because there's just so much time. I mean, like, I'm a guy that's entire creative life is based on somewhat immediate gratification. So the process of putting together something or being part of something, even a small part of something much bigger, and sort of accepting that and waiting to do these like little 2 to 3 minute bits that you repeat over and over again, and then you go wait for 4 hours. It's very hard for me to see the part of it that's gratifying creatively. But I did play a lead in a indie that maybe you'll find its way out eventually, but it was kind of a crazy great script and movie, and I did have a meltdown in the trailer that was pretty phenomenal.
Oh
yeah, because I'd chosen, I felt that I was ready to do this. Rob Burnett, Rob, he wrote this amazing script that was a great role for me, but it was a lot, and it was definitely a risk for me. But I'm like, well, fuck it, you got to if you're not willing to fail, just toss in the towel. But there's a scene I did with Sharon Stone, and dude, we shot, it's one scene, we shot 2 masters before lunch, and she was just eating me for fucking lunch, dude. I couldn't hold the character, it was just like, I was kind of falling into myself, and I thought that, the entire crew after each take was like, woof, this is going to be a rough one. So I went back to the trailer, and this is midway into this movie that I'm the star of, and I got David Martin sitting there. I'm like, get me out of this. What the fuck were we even thinking? That's Sharon Stone. Am I fucking nuts? And I'm playing an actor in the fucking movie, and I don't think I'm a good actor. I'm like, this is fuck. We got to end this right now. How the fuck am I going to do? It was crazy. And he just sat there and took it. And then
that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. And once I got through that, I was sort of like, dude, you better step up here because there's no way out. You better figure this out. And fortunately, I just talked to Al Pacino, and he gave me some inspiration, and after talking to all these actors, and there does come to a point with this stuff, with comedy and with anything, where if I know, and I can know it, that I'm really doing the best I can, then that's all you can do. Like if it's not good enough, oh, well, you tried. If people don't like it, okay, but that's really the best. I could not do it any other way. And Sharon helped me a great deal. And I've told the story a couple of times. It was a life-changing, powerful thing, because a lot of the people that came onto this movie did it because of me. She likes me, so she did this little movie. Lily Gladstone wanted to do comedy, and I talked to her, and she came on board. Alan Ruck is in it. Michael McKean plays my manager, and I don't think I had anything to do with that. But, these are pretty heavy hitters. But when I went back to do the scene with Sharon and talked to her about what I was feeling and what I was concerned about, she just kind of broke me, dude. Like, do you know the story?
I don't know the story.
Well, in this scene, do you know what the movie's about?
No.
Oh, it's called In Memoriam, and it's about an actor.
I did as much research for this as you do for your. I guess you started to do more research.
Yeah, no, I do research, but if I know the guy, I do less.
Right.
So, the pitch of the movie, and I think you'll like it. It's about an actor who's me, my age. He was a kind of like a up and coming great actor when he was in his 20s, and he did a bunch of big movies. He was happening. He had a co-star in these 3 or 4 movies. He ended up taking her from her husband, and the 4th movie tanked, and she left him. And he was kind of wandering around doing bit parts in some movies, and things on television. It opens with me in a scene on a procedural. But since he was younger, he took a sitcom that made him a star for like 5 years. This kind of crappy sitcom, and that's how everyone knows him. But he sees himself as a great actor. So at the beginning of the movie, he's diagnosed with stage 4, colon cancer. And he becomes obsessed with the need to be in the in memoriam montage at the Oscars. It's gonna be the only thing that gives his life meaning. But he doesn't really have the resume for it, so he's got to figure out a way, to get into the in memoriam montage. It's a pretty funny premise, right?
Yep.
So I forego chemo to try to die on time, and then I've got to figure out how to elevate my public
Profile.
My profile to get into the montage. And I've burned a lot of bridges, and I'm a selfish fuck. I've got this daughter who's estranged, who I don't know. Well, anyways, so the scene with Sharon is she plays the woman who was in those movies with me, back in the day, an ex-wife. And, she's gone on to win several Oscars, do 70 films. And right as I'm about to get into the montage, it's released in the news that she also has cancer. So I think she's going to bump me out of the montage. I haven't talked to her in years, but I got to go over there and try to work it. Like, it's a kind of a 3-tiered scene where first I'm trying to feel her out for when she's going to die to see if she'll make the cut. Second, I try to get her, to make an announcement that she wants me in the montage. And then third, I just break down crying in a real way that, she was my one true love and all this other stuff. So I got to cry. It's a complicated scene emotionally. And I go back after lunch, after I've melted down, and I tell Sharon, I'm like, look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull off the crying. I'm self-conscious about it. And she goes, don't worry about that. My son's an actor. Sometimes he uses that stuff. He make you cry. I'm like, okay, I just, I want to get there, but I don't know if I can get there. I'm trying. And then she says, well, I think you can cry. What makes you cry? I'm like, well, I'm a middle-aged man, commercials and stuff. I can cry. She goes, but I think we know what makes you cry. And I'm like, all right. And I go, are you talking about Lynn? My girlfriend who passed away. She goes, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but I've been kind of thinking about that, but I don't know. And then she looks at me and she goes, look, you play the scene to Lynn, and I'll make sure she's here. And it's like, and then I'm like, I'm already crying, and I don't know in that moment that I quite, figured I could do it to Lynn. But what I did know, because you kind of, when you want to cry as an actor, there's this idea like, well, think about a dog dying or your friend. But I think that's a trick. But what I did put in place was that I knew that Lynn, because she was so supportive of me as an actor and was really my biggest champion, would be thrilled about what I was doing. So I really just put her in place as watching me do it.
Right.
And kept her with me. Whether Sharon brought her there or not, we were definitely crying at the end of that scene.
Oh, that's good. When is that movie coming out? Do you know?
Well, they missed the window to get it into Toronto. I saw a final cut of it, and it's pretty moving because the relationship with my daughter is really the emotional, heart of the movie. And I did pretty well with that actress. That her name's Ryder. Oh, come on, dude.
We'll fix it in post.
No, I want to. Talia Ryder. She's great. Did you see that movie, Sometimes Always Never, the abortion movie, the indie?
Dude.
She's great.
Every movie I watch is picked by a 12-year-old.
Okay. Have you seen Bad Guys 2? So.
Probably 6 times.
Oh, it just came out. So you
no,
saw Bad Guys?
I haven't seen it.
That's got to be hard for you.
I haven't seen it.
So they're hoping to get it into Sundance, and then it'll see if it has a life after that. So that's not till January, I think.
Well, Mark, I think we've covered just about all of it. Was there anybody? Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about how it's weird that you're not inviting me back on the last show, and I just want to dispel the rumors that has been an issue around here. A lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, maybe it's going to spam, but I haven't seen any of that coming in. But
I specifically told people, like, don't do what you're planning to do with the emails.
I think what we're doing now is probably as good as it's going to get.
What, this?
Yeah.
This is like, you know what the camera angle reminds me of that you got here is that Maron v. Seder that we used to do. I just honestly kept expecting like your appliance repairman to walk through there.
Buddy, I think the last show is probably going to end up just me, unless by some weird outside chance Obama wants to come on again.
But feels like you have done every iteration. Like you've had one where Brendan comes on. Like if you hadn't done that, that would have been the one.
Well, there's one good one that we just recorded yesterday. Judd Apatow, who's been a lifelong fan of the show, came in with like 40 clips from shows that, he loved from the podcast. He like found 40, he went through all the episodes. And the weird thing was that I don't listen to them. So my only recollection of these conversations is when I have the conversation, because I don't listen to the podcast. So he's playing me these clips and I'm like, oh my God. Like I had no idea that, because I don't know what they sounded like,
in the final form.
The people that I'm talking to. And it was kind of like, it was kind of moving. And I kind of felt like maybe I was pretty good at it. But we don't really have a plan for that last show.
When is the last show? Mid-September?
I don't know. You have to ask Brendan. He's keeping it from me.
You're completely disengaged. You're kept from all of it. You're just sort of like Biden at this point.
Well, I think that's a little extreme. No, I just like it's better that I don't, look at numbers or look at comments or know, like I know who I'm going to talk to and stuff, and I know when it's going to go up. But the rest of it, I think it's just healthier that that I don't know.
Okay, and lastly, 2 questions. One, does this mean the WTF blend is gone from Just Coffee?
I know you'd have to ask them, but all of a sudden they've really upped my coffee deliveries. Like I could open a store right now. You still getting it?
I haven't gotten deliveries from them in a while.
Weird. Maybe they're sending me yours.
Are they sending the Majority Report blend?
Oh, I don't pay attention. I don't think so. They don't send me the WTF blend anymore because I don't like dark roasts, but they keep sending it. And
is that a scandal? Are people talking about that? You don't even endorse your own blend?
I haven't really thought about it. We don't do ads for them anymore. This is just part of
is that right?
Some weird promise.
Oh,
they just
that's
keep
nice.
sending them to me.
And lastly, are you concerned at all that this show, probably assuming I stay healthy, is going to go on longer than WTF? You started in 2009, right?
Yeah. When did you start?
2010.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm really concerned. I don't know why I'd be concerned. I want you to keep, fighting the good fight and doing what you do. I'm not threatened in any way by your success.
I find that so disappointing. But I think maybe we got to check in like 6-8 months after the show is over, because I have a feeling you'll be a little bit more
humble.
Humble's not the I don't think you'll ever be more humble. I think
broken.
It's really yeah.
So that's the episode where I come on in 6 months and you pull up clips from earlier in this interview.
Yeah, no, I just say like yeah, that's it.
Look what I think I called it. I called it.
Yep, that's basically what it is. It's I did like a Tim Russert, just getting you on the record, and then we play you back later. Marc Maron, congratulations on the spectacular. I mean, everybody knows about the cultural significance of your show, and really also on the entire format, which has spawned a lot of really actually not great stuff. But I'm not going to hold you responsible for that. You're not responsible for,
Yeah, I just made it seem like anybody could do it, and they did.
Yeah. And now they're ruining the country. So, all right. Well,
I try to, look,
hey, it was helpful for you. And I think that's the important part. The important part, it was helpful for you, and it really reignited your career. So,
Okay. Yeah.
American democracy, small price to pay. Small
for my
price.
mental health and my success. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly. And so,
I'm glad you framed it that way, because that, just right on the money.
yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
But Marc Maron,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Love you, Sam. Thank you, though.
Talk to you later. Thanks, buddy.
Okay, man.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.